Rishi Sunak is considering weakening some of the government's key green commitments in a major policy shift. It could include delaying a ban on the sales of new petrol and diesel cars and phasing out gas boilers, multiple sources have told the BBC. The PM is preparing to set out the changes in a speech in the coming days. Responding to the reported plans, he said the government was committed to reaching net zero carbon emissions by 2050 but in a more proportionate way. The aim of net zero is for the UK to take out of the atmosphere as many greenhouse gas emissions, such as carbon dioxide, as it puts in. The Prime Minister said, "For too many years, politicians in governments of all stripes have not been honest about costs and trade-offs." He said the UK was committed to international climate agreements it had already made. "No leak will stop me beginning the process of telling the country how and why we need to change," he said. Mr. Sunak added that he would give a speech later this week to set out an important long-term decision we need to make so our country becomes the place I know we all want it to be for our children. Some text goes here. If he presses ahead with the plan, it would represent a significant shift in the Conservative Party's approach to net zero policy, as well as establishing a clear dividing line with the Labour Party. According to multiple sources briefed on Downing Street's thinking, Mr. Sunak would use the speech to hail the UK as a world leader on net zero. But he would also argue that Britain has over-delivered on confronting climate change and that other countries need to do more to pull their weight. Some specifics of the speech are still thought to be under discussion, but as it stands it could include as many as 7 core policy changes or commitments, documents seen by the BBC suggest. First, the government would push the ban on the sale of new petrol and diesel cars, currently set to come into force in 2030 back to 2035. The 2030 date has been government policy since 2020. Second, the government would significantly weaken the plan to phase out the installation of gas boilers by 2035, saying that they only want 80% to be phased out by that year. Fourth, the 2026 ban on off-grid oil boilers will be delayed to 2035, with only an 80% phase-out target at that date. In addition, Britons will be told that there will be no new taxes to discourage flying, no government policies to change people's diets and no measures to encourage carpooling. The country cannot go on with a Conservative government in total disarray, stumbling from crisis to crisis. Conservative MP Chris Skidmore, the former chairman of the UK government's Net Zero Review, said diluting green policies would cost the UK jobs, inward investment, and future economic growth that could have been ours by committing to the industries of the future. Some text goes here. Rishi Sunak still has time to think again and not make the greatest mistake of his premiership, condemning the UK to missing out on what can be the opportunity of the decade to deliver growth, jobs and future prosperity, he said. Former Conservative Minister, Sir Alok Sharma, who was president of the COP26 Climate Summit, said the UK had been a leader on climate action, but we cannot rest on our laurels. Some text goes here. Green Party MP, Caroline Lucas called any rollback on net zero, economically illiterate, historically inaccurate and environmentally boneheaded. But Tory MP Craig McKinley, who chairs the Net Zero Scrutiny Group, said he was pleased to see some pragmatism from Mr. Sunak. Moving back dates for net zero targets will take pie in the sky, greenwash, measures out of clearly unachievable deadlines. Former Conservative Minister David Jones said modifying green policies was inevitable and sensible, adding that pressing on with the 2030 ban on new petrol and diesel cars was inevitable and sensible. Some text goes here. How India-Canada ties descended into a public feud. Why Western nations fear India-Canada row.